Hello once again, everybody. This is Rich with High Percent Trading. We were asked by several people on trial and a couple of members to just do a short video showing the recap of the three markets that we were following this morning in the live markets analysis room. Again, using the accelerator and brakes that we've consistently talked about. So let's take a look at crude oil first of all. Remember, on crude oil, what we're looking to do is we're going to apply a momentum-based uh, methodology strategy set up for crude oil in the first hour of trading after 6 a.m. Pacific. That's what we call the pit open. And we're going to follow the 2-arrow rule basically. Now, if we look back, this brings us to 6 a.m. right here. This is when we want to start trading. If we look all the way back, we will see that there was one trade entry way back here around 5:12 in the morning, and that was a really big trade, but for most of you, you're not trading crude then. So we're looking at taking one more trade entry. That one more trade entry was right here, all right, that around 6:07 with a tight stop right above here. You'd have about a 5-tick loss as it went up, but as I also mentioned, what you need to do is you need to take this trade one more time. If it gets stopped out one more time and your entry was here, at least you're able to get a nice scalp out of this, about 7 to 8 ticks on a scalp, but no runner as it got taken out. So that's your first trade sequence here. Then there was a long trade here, right here, that did not work, and a short trade that did not work. Now that put us about 28 minutes into the session. So at this point, and as I pointed out this morning, if you were trading crude oil exactly the way it should be traded using the accelerator, you were actually down a little bit, okay? I'm not going to talk about this trade up here. This is what's called a retrace trade. This is a standard bread and butter trade that we teach here and that we take at High Percent Trading. This met all the criteria, but we're only going to concentrate on the accelerator right now. Do notice this was a very nice trade for those members and people that took this trade. But following the accelerator, you're down a little bit coming into right here. So right here was a nice long trade that resulted in a very nice profit. Here was your second trade entry here following the 2-arrow rule. This one went up and informed and did a very nice profit as well. And we're going to ignore arrow number 3. Okay. Now this brings us right to the cusp of our 7 a.m. And as any rules are, if you adhere to it strictly and said it's now 7 a.m. Pacific, I'm not going to take any more trades, you would not have gotten this sequence here. You would have shifted over. Uh, some of our members gave it a minute or two. That's okay. Nothing's cast in concrete. But again, if you wanted to give it that extra minute, in fact, this was right on the cusp. You did get a nice short trade here that resulted in a big move, a giant move to the downside here in crude oil. This trade would have resulted in approximately uh, about 60 ticks. Now, for some of you, we also get the questions. You can set these to automatically trade these entries. You can use the octopus or you can use the mini trader. It will automatically enter the trades on these arrows, and it will manage them according to whatever stops, profit targets, and trail stops that you have set in your ATM strategy. This is not a full-blown set it and forget it auto trader. I've indicated before, in my opinion, there is no such thing as a full-blown set it and forget it auto trader where you just set it, walk away, forget it, and come back 8 hours later. Bad things happen when that happens. You need to have human oversight. Okay, that's extremely important to the bottom line in trading. But anyway, that takes care of the first session. That's the first 30-minute session, or 60-minute session rather, in crude oil. All right, now let's take a look at Russell. That's the second market that we like to follow. We're going to start trading at 6:30 Pacific. 6:30 Pacific is right here. Notice our first trade is long. This trade went absolutely nowhere, ended up getting stopped out for about a 6-tick loss. That's part of trading, but then watch what happened. The next trade, just about 30 seconds later, was a short entry here. Here was your second arrow short here. This resulted in a very nice profit as you came down. Nice trade all the way through here, second entry here. Again, if we're following the 2-arrow rule, none of these trade entries were taken. No trade entry here, no trade entry here. Our next trade entry would have been long, right here at 640, a long trade. And just like the previous trade, this long trade really didn't do anything. Using a tight stop again, 6 to 7 ticks, you got stopped out. As is taught, once you got stopped out of this trade coming down, you take one more bite out of the apple. This takes a little bit of learning, but here's your long trade here. We don't get an arrow on the octopus off of that, but this is the way it's taught. One more trade here. You'd have at least been able to recover that loss, okay? And that's our second arrow that occurred here later, so we're not looking at any more. And then watch what happened. We had a nice short trade here again. Short trade entry followed by arrow number 2. Very nice trade to the downside. That brings us over to 651. We're still trading, so good profitable trade. We're going to ignore arrow number 3. We're still within our time. Again, entry number 1 here, entry number 2 here. Entry number 1 resulted in a nice trade up, anywhere from 12 to 15 ticks, depending on how you managed it. And everybody manages trades differently. Entry number 2 was here that at least you got a nice little scalp out of, but no runner. And that brings us again right to the cusp, give or take a couple seconds over here. And again, just like we pointed out in crude oil, either you could have elected to take this trade or not, depending on where you were at. I did a poll today in the live analysis room, and about 85% of the members were already nicely green. They already had met their goals by this time, and there was no need for them to trade. But again, if you wanted to take this trade, it was a nice trade here. This would have been normally an add-on, except for the fact that we're beyond our time frame now, right? We've eclipsed our first half hour, but this trade was a great trade to the downside. So that would do the session, the first 30-minute accelerator session in the Russell. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ. That's another one that we follow in the room. All right, here's our NASDAQ chart from today. Here is the 6:30 trade time right here. Now notice, we always look to the left. Have we had more than 2 arrow entries in the same direction by the time we get to the time to trade? Yes. Here, 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 and here. So we're not going to take this trade. We're not going to take this trade. These were both good trades, but again, in following the rules, trading is all about patience, discipline, and timing. If you're going to have rules, you need to follow them. No trade entry here. No trade entry here. Our first trade entry is long here for a nice scalp profit. Second re-entry trade here, long again. Nice profit to the upside, resulting in maybe 24 to 26 ticks if you had a runner, right? That's our 2-arrow rule. 1, 2. We don't take this trade. We don't take this trade. We don't take this one. We're now looking to the short side. Here's trade number 1 to the short side. Very nice trade down. Came into the plateau. I talked about how to manage this trade and take the profits out of it. Here is entry number 2. Nice trade again. Once we got down in here, I again talked about how to squeeze the profits out, right? This was arrow number 3, so following the 2-arrow rule, we don't do that. But we did have our long trade here. Beautiful trade to the upside. And then a second trade here, resulting in possibly a scalp depending on where your stops were. If not, you got stopped out. Still have a little bit of time left coming in through our window. So we had a short entry here, resulting in a nice profit. Short entry here. Now, depending on how you manage this trade, if you have smaller scalps, you got your scalp at least. If not, you did get stopped out as we came up here. If you had a tight stop, But as I mentioned, very important to your trading. This is critical to your success. You need to be able to re-enter this trade one more time. Whether you get an octopus signal or not, in this case you did, short again, at least for a nice scalp. And you can employ the same management here. This is a little more difficult, but this was your trade here, and this was your re-entry here. Notice if you were able to manage this better, you got a huge move to the downside, but this takes a little more finesse. So I'm not going to talk about this. I don't want to confuse the issue. I want to keep the rules straight and simple. And that brings us up to our 7 o'clock time. That takes us through our first session. Now, as I indicated, what we'll do, we turn off the accelerator, we're going to turn on the brakes, and we're going to trade a different methodology now, trading the brakes. So let's show that in each one of these 3 markets. Okay, so now we're looking at the brakes on the crude oil. We're looking starting at 7 a.m. Remember earlier, you had a real nice short trade that the accelerator triggered right here. But again, if you were switching over, basically what we had then was a long trade here starting at the 7 a.m. that got stopped out, and you had a second long trade here that got stopped out. So 1, 2 in a row, and that happens sometimes, right? You're basically what we talk about after that. When this happens, we like to trail after that, trail it down, trail it down, trail it down. As far as an entry is concerned, so once you took this trade, got stopped out, took this trade, got stopped out, we're not looking at taking this, we're not looking at taking this. We're looking at either trying to come back in if we were to break above this level or this level, and then not this level because the trend has changed, so there's no more long trades, right? Trade 1, trade 2, that's it. Now we're looking on the short side. We got a trend change to the downside. Your first short trade was right here, okay? If you had a tight stop on it, you got stopped out, but then remember, you need to have that tenacity to come back one more time off the reversal bar right here. Whether the octopus signals this or not, you're back in. You had a nice trade all the way back to the mid-band for a nice profit. You had trade setup number 2 right here. Very nice trade to the downside. This resulting in close to about 30 ticks if you held a runner. And then one more opportunity, long trade here. Of course, this is taking us a little deeper now. We're actually a second hour in past 8 a.m., but a long trade here, and then have the tenacity to come back one more time here. If this one doesn't work, take one more bite out of the apple. Again, a lot of the traders were done with this first and then second trade here. No need to take the third, but if you did, that was it. All right, and that's the crude oil. That's actually the crude oil in the first 2 hours of trading. Now let's take a look at the Russell. Just as a recap too, let me show what we do in the room when we get to turning off the profit, which is the accelerator, and turning on the brakes. We switch over to this octopus, which is the profit. We're going to turn that off. We're going to click here, turn that off. We're going to apply it, and then we're going to jump on the second one, which is the brakes, and we're going to turn it on and turn it on and apply, and we're going to move forward on that. All right, so here's applying the brakes coming up. You can see there was a trade entry here in Russell. However, that was 2 minutes before the window period. So this one, even though it was a great trade, is not part of the count. Just missed the trade entry here because things were not set up properly, although I did comment in the live markets room that this was a valid S2 setup, and a lot of traders took it on what they were running on their various templates. Okay, this is not the only template to run. And then a little bit later on, we finally had our trade set up. This was the trade set up here, short, and then one more bite out of the apple, short here for a scalp, and that was it. Okay, that brought us out to the first hour after that. Okay, notice for some of you, This trade up here may be familiar. This trade is what's called the phantom trade. This is a trade that we really like in high percent trading. This is about an 85% probability trade, successful trade. There's actually octopus templates that will pick this trade up, but I just wanted to point that out. But as far as following the breaks, this was your trade setup here, and this was your reentry here. So not as much here in the Russell trading the breaks in the second part of the session. The first part of the session using the accelerator was very good, but still profitable. Okay, what I've shown so far, all profitable, trading accelerator or breaks so far in crude oil and or Russell. Now let's take a look at the NASDAQ. All right, here's our final one that we're following here. This is the NASDAQ. Here's 7 a.m. Turn the brakes on. Notice we had to wait a little while. As I pointed out today, you have to be disciplined and wait on the trade setups. Trading is all about patience, discipline, and timing. And right here, around 7:16 a.m., you had your break setup right here, your breaks trade right here. This was just a fantastic trade right here. Entry right around the 46.69 level. This moved all the way down to about 52. That's roughly 17 handles at 4 ticks apiece. It's about 60 ticks on a runner if you held it. And then here's arrow number 2 right here. That was arrow number 1. Arrow number 2, a nice short trade that you could have gotten anywhere from 12 to 16 ticks on. And that was, and if you wanted to take one more bite, it was in here, but that was it. Okay. That exhausted it. That brought us out to our basically hour again. And so as you can see, applying the same methodology day in and day out during the same time frames, the accelerator and brakes, once again, profitable in each one of these sessions for the crude, for the NASDAQ, and for the Russell. I hope this was helpful for you. As I indicated, if you have not taken a free trial yet, please come over to the website and take advantage of this special trial offer that we're offering everybody. I pulled up the website, high%trading.com. Over here where it says free trial, if you just click on this link, you can request a trial if you've not had one already. Here are our links this week for our live markets analysis on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday morning. And also for our tutorial videos that we have coming up here on Tuesday and Thursday of this week. Notice there's no Saturday one this week. We might put one in, but right now haven't quite decided on that yet. Here's the high percent trading channel right here. Here's the newsletter. If you haven't seen it, you can click on that. So we hope to see you all in there. You can see that we're not fudging anything. We don't make anything up. It's not could have, should have, or would have after the fact. What's so nice about this is what you see objectively are what the trade setups are. And that's the only way that you can trade. So thanks for watching. Have a very nice day. Stay green. Always try to meet your goals as quickly as possible in your early trading and be done. Trading is not a marathon. Trading is all about getting in, making your profit, getting out, and then enjoying the rest of the day. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye now.